about to give you a very thorough, deep, detailed breakdown of debt-based financing versus equity-based financing and related to time management, emotion management, and your bank account, the big difference that you're gonna see in multiple case studies. We're gonna look at 0 profit, 20K profit, 40K profit, and it's gonna shock you which one's better to go with which case study. It's gonna make sense as we go through here. Now guys, this is part 3 of our little lending series. There's 2 other videos down here below. After this one, go watch those others. They kind of go hand in hand, and all this together will really give you a good perspective on how to get into the real estate business. Even if you're seasoned, it could really break down how you can increase your profits going forward. Now, what we're doing is we're gonna be looking at a debt-based lender or an equity-based lender. So what's the difference? We're gonna use the same house right here where you can buy it for $75,000, put $25,000 in repair, and then sell the house. Now, imagine we have 3 different scenarios. We're going to run one where we make 0 money in 6 months, come back in time, do it again. 20K in 6 months, run it back in time, do it again. 40K in profits, and let's see what happens with both different types of lenders, because this is where it gets interesting. So a debt-based lender comes to you, says, I see you have this house that you need a loan on. I'm willing to lend you the money at 12% interest. So it's just you, the investor, and one lender over here who's willing to lend you $100,000 to complete the project at 12% annual or per annum loan. What that means is they're gonna pay you, or you're gonna have to pay them if you have that loan for 12 months, $12,000 or $1,000 a month. So in a 6-month case study here, you bought the house, fixed it up, sold it, paid off your lender, you're gonna pay $6,000 for that loan. Now, over here is another option. You're going out there networking, you're at the REI clubs, you're a young investor hopping in the business, and you meet a nice old individual, you know, a man or a lady out there that's been in the business, they're seasoned, they've done hundreds of deals, and you're like, wow, this is a really nice person, they're real easy to talk to, and they're successful, and they're willing to help me out. They said they lend on the house, they'd even teach me the ropes, they teach me all their tricks, but they want 50% of the deal. So this person, instead of lending their money for an interest rate return, what they're lending their money on is equity. They want 50% of the profit. And this is gonna vary as numbers vary, so watch how this works. So let's say the numbers are all the same in the first case scenario, where it's a 0K profit when you're doing an equity-based loan. So no money was made, y'all split that equally. Both make 0. 6 months. But what happens over here, all these numbers held constant, you're paying $1,000 a month for this loan. So if everything else is equal, you owe this lender, whether you make a profit or not on the deal, $1,000 a month. So if you're the investor down here, you actually lose $6,000. Interesting, right? You're taking on a little bit more risk, which is why somebody may want to go with a 50% equity lender. They see it as there's no risk because if there's a loss, well, it's not their problem. Now, a lot of times these lenders say, well, if there is a loss, we're gonna split the loss together. I would argue to not do that and say, if you want 50% of the profit, you take all the risk if there's a loss. Otherwise, they shouldn't be taking, they shouldn't get all the upside either, if that makes sense. Okay, this is where it gets interesting. So with a 0K over here, you're taking a $6,000 loss over here because you still pay that $1,000 a month. So it's $6,000 extra cost compared to this 0 profit deal. Now let's say the profit was 20K. What happens over here is the investor makes 10K and the other lender, who's technically kind of investor, they're in the deal with you, y'all both make 10K apiece because the profit was 20 grand. Now over here, all the other costs are held constant except you're paying your lender no matter what, $6,000 because it's a 6-month loan, 20K, really you net 14K. That'd be 20K minus 16K. Now if you're an investor and you did it on your own, you paid a debt-based lender for 6 months, 1% a month, you make 14,000 over here, you make 10,000. So what does that mean? You would have made an extra 4,000. So if you take 4,000 and leverage it in to your 10,000, that's a 40% extra return when you think of it that way, right? So you make a lot more here. Now what happens when the profit gets really big? It gets even bigger. Third case study, 40K, okay? 50-50 profit, 50 to the lender, 50 to you. So you would make 20K and they would make 20K. So what happens over here? 40K, you still only have your $1,000 a month, $6,000 that you pay out. So now you have 34K in profit, okay? That's $14,000 more if you go with a debt-based lender in this case study than if you went with an equity-based lender. All the other numbers held constant. 14 grand and 20 grand, that's almost double when you really think about it. It's getting pretty close up there. Now, what does this mean? Really, when you slow down and kind of analyze this, it means that if there's low profit or no profit, you're less at risk if you do an equity-based loan. But if it's a really good deal and there's a lot of equity in the property, you are getting murdered, and this person right here is getting a massive return on their investment. So let's say right here, a 20K profit deal. They have 10K coming in off their 100K loan. So if they loaned $100,000 to you and they receive 10,000 back, that's a 10% return per annum. You have to adjust this, right? Because that's 6 months, so double that. So really they're making, what is that, 20%. How would that be if they were just a normal lender? 12%. This is why they're doing this. Now look at this. They're getting 20K on their $100,000 loan for a 6-month period. That's 20% on a 6-month loan on 100K, if that makes sense. I don't even have said that right? But you guys get what I'm saying. So you can see how beneficial it is and why all these individuals out there in the marketplace are just saying, hey, you remind me of yourself or of myself. I see you coming up. I'd love to help you out. I'm looking for more deals, and I know you're finding deals, and I just don't have any right now, but I have a lot of money saved up and I have a lot of knowledge. I'd be glad to partner with you and help you get your first deals done. So are they really glad to do so in the right way, or are they just glad to do so because they're going to get paid in the right way, if that makes sense? Nothing wrong with it. Actually, it's good for both sides if they do give you value. But the other problem is you're tied in the deal. So let's look at this on emotion. You have control over here, full control. Over here, you don't have so much control. You're gonna be fighting all the time. And when the deal goes good, everybody makes money. But when the deal goes bad, people are fighting. So it's better to have control and make more money when the deal goes good instead of the other way around, if that makes sense. So I hope this makes a little bit of sense, guys. I would always, over here, go with the debt-based lender, even if you have to pay 15% or more. So I put out a video, guys, on hard money lenders for private money lenders. Absolutely nothing wrong with hard money lenders. Massive need for them in the marketplace. In fact, I still use them. But in that video, I talk about using 15% simple debt financing as compared to, I think, a 1 in 11 or something hard money lender. And everybody's like, well, 15% is not a good loan. Of course not. You don't want to raise 15%. I'm saying if that's all you can raise to find a simple debt finance loan from a private money lender where there's no points up front. What you need to be doing is working to always increase your lender base, going from 15% to 12% to 10% to 8%. I know a lot of investors that get 6% private money with no points up front. Now, it takes a lot of time in the business, and why would someone do that? Because they know that investor keeps their money in play all year long. For example, let me just draw this up here. I'm going a little bit rogue here, but this is a good case study. So let's say you're a lender and I offer you 12%, and I do 2 projects with your money a year, but there's some dead loss time. So you lend me 12% on a house for 4 months, 4-month loan, 12% per year. You'd be making $1,000 a month essentially on a 100K loan. But what if I buy the house, fix it up, sell the house, close it out, and I'm out of that deal, done? You made $4 grand right here. But what if I can't get your money back into play for another 4 months? I'm out there looking for a deal and you're sitting on the sidelines and you're like, is this person gonna find a deal? Maybe I should go find another investor to work with, but by the time they do, you're like, hey, I got another deal. So this was all dead time right here. 4 months of the year, breaking it down, 4 months, 4 months, 4 months. Then you do another deal where that money's in play again for 4 months, right? So they make another 4K. So if their money was in play the whole 12 months, they would have made 12% or $12,000. But since you only did 2 deals, 4K, and their money was not in play for 4 months, they essentially, working with you, we're getting 12% on these little time periods, but over an annual year, that's 8%, not 12%, if that makes sense. Now I got like doctor handwriting. So when you can explain this to these individuals, that's why some of these top investors who have the ability to keep their money in play at all times can get lower interest rates. Because what if I was to say, what if I gave you, 9%, or what if I asked you for 9%? That's better than 8%, but I guarantee you I have a deal ready for you. So what these top investors are trying to do is when this house closes, this house is the next house being bought. They overlap the closing periods, if that makes sense. So I always, with my lenders, try to do this, as well as my contractors, I try to do the same thing. I know when this closing date is. Say it's the 30th. I'm trying as hard as I can to get this next house, get ready to get closed on the 31st. So house gets closed, lender's money comes back in, goes back into play. Contractors fall off this property and transfer right over to this property. So you never risk losing your top contractors, you never risk losing your top lenders, and they're willing to lend you at a lower interest rate because they're getting consistent guaranteed money throughout the year. Now, some of them will actually give you a credit line if they trust you enough and understand your skill set is high up enough, where that way they're guaranteed getting their interest rate even if your money is not in play. I know this is kind of a lot, guys, to talk about, but this is so important for you to understand. The way you finance your properties is the way you grow your business, quick or slow. It's also how much money you make long term that really dictates the life that you have as far as happiness levels go, comfort level goes, as far as taking that profit from your active income business with your flips, rolling it into your retirement and your fortune business, which is your equity and your cash flow, which gives you wealth and time and money freedom. So make it in wholesaling, make it in flipping, make it in sales, make it in other businesses, put it into assets that kick off cash flow. That is the key to your freedom, guys. I hope you liked the video. I'll see you next week.